Okay, let's start with a really strange idea. What if the very system that's supposed to help our elders was actually hurting them? I know, it sounds like a total paradox, right? But for a lot of people, it's a real thing. So today, we're going to dig into how too much of a good thing can turn into a huge burden, and, most importantly, what we can do about it.
Wow. My home has become like a workplace. Just let that sink in for a second. I mean, really think about it. Your home, the one place on earth you're supposed to feel totally safe, totally in control, and it suddenly feels like a busy office with a constant revolving door of strangers. This is so much more than just an inconvenience, you know? It's this deep, profound loss of your own peace, your own autonomy.
So let me paint a picture for you. There's this 80-year-old woman in Japan. Now, if you looked at her file, you'd think she's getting the best care imaginable. We're talking nurses, therapists, helpers. They're visiting her home pretty much every single day. But here's the twist. Instead of feeling supported, she feels like she's, well, drowning in all of it. That right there is the paradox we're talking about.
I know, it seems completely backward, doesn't it? How can getting too much help possibly be a bad thing? It just doesn't compute at first. Well, the answer, it turns out, is buried in a really fundamental flaw in how we've actually designed these care systems in the first place.
You know, to really get a handle on a problem this big, you have to be able to name it, give it a label. And it turns out, in Japan, a new term has started to pop up that just perfectly captures this hidden struggle.
It's called介護搾取. Roughly translated, it means caregiving exploitation. Now, I want to be super clear about this. This is not about blaming the individual nurses or caregivers. Not at all. It's about a system where the business side of care can, completely unintentionally, end up exploiting the very people it's supposed to be helping.
So the big question is, how does this caregiving exploitation actually happen? Look, there are no villains twirling their mustaches here. It's not about malice. It's all about a system that's driven by incentives, and those incentives don't always line up with what's actually best for the elderly. As they say, let's follow the money.
And this is really where the tug of war starts. On one side of the rope, you have what the senior actually needs. You know, keeping their own rhythm, having some mental peace, getting only the support they truly require. But on the other end of the rope, you've got the business needs of the provider, filling service slots, maximizing billable visits, and, well, generating revenue. And a lot of the time, those two things are pulling in completely opposite directions.
And this whole thing creates a pretty nasty cycle. See, care plans end up being built around the provider's schedule, not the person's actual needs. So every single visit becomes a transaction, a billable hour. And that creates this immense pressure to keep the schedule packed, which can just completely overshadow the well-being of the person who's supposed to be at the center of it all.
And to keep this full cycle spinning, a kind of subtle manipulation, even a bit of fear-mongering can creep in. You hear these phrases that are designed to fan anxiety. Things like, well, if we cut back on services, your approved care level might get downgraded. Or, you really need day service 3 times a week, otherwise your muscles will get weaker. It's language that makes it almost impossible for someone to say no, even when they're totally exhausted.
So as you can probably tell by now, this is a problem with a lot of layers. It isn't about pointing a finger at any one person or group. It's about seeing how everyone, from the senior themselves to the care manager, the provider, even the family who thinks more is better, can become an unwitting part of a broken system. There's a term for this. It's systemic complicity.
Okay, but let's step away from the system for a second and talk about the human cost. What does it actually feel like to go through this? To basically be a prisoner in your own home, just a passive recipient of this never-ending parade of services?
Well, they call it service fatigue, and it's the direct result of this caregiving exploitation. Think about it. It's the mental gymnastics of trying to remember who's coming over today. It's that feeling of guilt when you just want to say no, not today. It's having no time to yourself anymore. It's just this slow, grinding erosion of your own independence.
Okay, but here is the good news. This is not a life sentence. It doesn't have to be this way. There are absolutely ways to fight back, to reclaim your home, and get your peace of mind back. So let's talk about how you can actually take back control.
All right, here it is, a 4-step plan to reclaim your life. Step 1, voice your true wishes. Be clear and unapologetic about what you actually want and how many visits you're comfortable with. Step 2, get an outside opinion. Have a family member, a trusted friend, someone, review the care plan and ask, is all of this really necessary? Step 3, know your rights. You can always ask to change your care manager. You are in the driver's seat. And finally, step 4, find the courage to reduce. Work with your manager to strip it all back to just the truly essential services. Remember, Your well-being is what matters most.
Because that is the goal here, right? We want to transform a system that has started to serve itself into one that genuinely serves the individual. This isn't about rejecting help. It's about demanding the right kind of help, the kind that empowers you, not the kind that overwhelms you.
So, as we've seen, this whole caregiving exploitation thing isn't really any single person's fault. It's a product of what we called systemic complicity. It's like a trap that we've all kind of fallen into, where everyone's good intentions can accidentally lead to these really damaging consequences.
And that leaves us with one final, really big question to think about. Is our care system truly designed for the person, or is it designed for the process, for the business? The answer to that question is going to shape the future of elderly care, and not just in Japan, but everywhere. It really is time we started demanding a system that puts people, not profits, first. Thanks so much for joining me for this.